The estate was silent that afternoon. Too silent for a property with young ones. Then it unfolded. A whisper so delicate and unlikely that it challenged reality. Nikolas Ferguson froze at the playroom entrance. His portfolio case slipped from his grip and landed with a muted thud. He stared, unable to move, as his twins, Angelo and Jazmine, who had never taken a step or uttered a sound in their lives, murmured the word to Juliana Clay. The white maid knelt on the carpet, her arms open wide, her face soft with encouragement. For 3 years, the best specialists had declared the children permanently paralyzed below the waist, their legs unresponsive, their voices locked away forever. Nikolas had spent a fortune on cutting-edge treatments, custom equipment, and round-the-clock care, turning the vast estate into a fortress of schedules and silence to shield himself from the grief of Elena's death during their birth. Laughter had been banned, toys remained boxed, and every corner echoed with controlled emptiness. Juliana had arrived just 4 weeks earlier, a reserved woman with pale skin and steady hands from a quiet rural town. She dusted shelves, folded small outfits, and spoke in low tones that no one thought the twins could hear. Yet here she was, the center of this impossible moment. Nikolas stepped back without a sound, pulling the door shut behind him. The whisper of "Mama" followed him down the hall, circling his thoughts like an unanswered question. He needed to understand how this had happened, and what it meant for the world he had built to keep pain at bay. The corridor seemed longer than usual, its polished floors reflecting the weak afternoon light filtering through distant windows. Nikolas's shoes made no noise as he walked, but his mind roared. 3 years. 3 years of watching Angelo and Jazmine lie motionless in their specialized cribs, their eyes vacant, their limbs limp. The doctors had been unanimous. Neural damage too severe. No hope for mobility. No potential for speech. He had accepted it, or so he thought. Built walls around the grief. Turned the estate into a machine of precision care, where nurses rotated shifts like clockwork and machines monitored every breath. But that whisper, directed at Juliana. Not to him. Not to the specialists who charged more per hour than most earned in a month. He reached his study at the end of the east wing, the heavy oak door closing behind him with a solid click. The room was his sanctuary, lined with bookshelves holding first editions he rarely opened and a massive desk where deals worth billions had been sealed. A portrait of Elena hung above the mantel, her smile gentle, her hand resting on her swollen belly in the final weeks of pregnancy. Nikolas avoided her eyes today. He sank into the leather chair, pulling open the center drawer. Medical files waited there, thick binders labeled with dates and diagnoses. He flipped to the most recent report, dated 6 months ago. Asterisk permanent immobility confirmed. Vocalization impossible. Recommend palliative focus. Asterisk the words blurred as his hand trembled. How? The question looped endlessly. Juliana was no therapist. No PhD in neurology. Just a maid who dusted and murmured stories while folding laundry. For weeks. That was all the time she had been in their lives. Nikolas leaned back, staring at the ceiling's intricate molding. Memories surfaced unbidden. Elena in the nursery, singing made-up rhymes to her belly, insisting the babies could hear. "They know my voice already," she had said, laughing. He had smiled then, indulging her whims. Now those whims felt like prophecy. The estate's silence pressed in. No cries from the twins. No clatter from the kitchen. Just the distant hum of the air system, engineered to be imperceptible. Nikolas had ordered it that way. No distractions. No chaos. Control. But control had failed them. Billions in therapies. Custom wheelchairs before they could sit up. Speech devices that gathered dust. And nothing. Until Juliana. He stood abruptly, crossing to the window overlooking the manicured gardens. The play structure sat unused, swings still, slides gathering faint dust. Elena had designed them herself, envisioning races and laughter. Nikolas had kept them pristine, a monument to what might have been. A movement caught his eye. Juliana pushing the twins' chairs through the French doors to the terrace. She arranged blankets, then knelt between them, her voice too low to carry. The children watched her, their heads turning slightly, a motion the reports claimed impossible. Nikolas's hand pressed against the glass. He watched as Juliana traced patterns on their palms, speaking softly. Angelo's fingers twitched. Jazmine's lips moved, forming that same impossible shape. He turned away, heart pounding. The medical files mocked him from the desk. Permanent immobility. He needed answers. Not from doctors. From her. The estate's clock tower chimed 4. Afternoon light slanted golden through the study windows. Nikolas straightened his tie, smoothed his hair, and left the room. The hallway felt like a gauntlet now, every step measured. He found Juliana in the sunroom, folding linens with mechanical efficiency. The twins' chairs sat nearby, empty. "Where are they?" he asked. She looked up, expression neutral. "Napping in the quiet room, sir. After our terrace time." "Our terrace time." The words tasted sharp. "I saw you with them." They responded. Juliana folded another towel, crease perfect. "They always respond when they feel safe." Nikolas stepped closer. "Safe. That's what you said before. But 3 years of experts couldn't make them feel safe. What makes you different?" She met his gaze steadily. "I talk to them like they understand. I hold their hands. I don't treat them like problems to solve." His laugh came out brittle. "And that works. Where millions failed." Juliana set the towel down. "Money buys machines, sir. It doesn't buy presents." The simplicity stung. Nikolas paced to the window, looking out at the empty garden again. "Tomorrow. Bring them to the conservatory at 10. I want to see it myself." "Yes, sir." He left without another word, but the doubt gnawed. Presence. As if time and attention could rewrite neurology. Morning came with deceptive calm. The conservatory smelled of orchids and polished stone, sunlight streaming through glass panes. Nurses positioned the twins' chairs facing a soft mat covered in textured blocks, sensory therapy tools gathering dust. Nikolas arrived precisely at 10, clipboard in hand. "Begin," he said. Juliana knelt on the mat, arranging blocks in a circle. "Good morning, Angelo. Good morning, Jazmine." Her voice was warm, unhurried. The twins' eyes tracked her. No blank stares. No vacancy. She picked up a soft block, tapping it rhythmically. "This one rolls. Watch." Tumbled toward Angelo. His hand twitched, fingers curling. Nikolas leaned forward. "Again." Juliana repeated, slower. Jazmine's leg shifted. A micro-movement, but real. "Impossible," he muttered, checking his watch. 5 minutes. In. The twins engaged. Eyes focused. Limbs stirred. He called the head nurse. "Record this." The woman arrived with a tablet, capturing every second. Juliana continued, undeterred, weaving stories between block rolls. The twins cooed. Actual vocalizations. By noon, Nikolas's clipboard held notes in his own handwriting. Asterisk responsive to voice. Limb initiation observed. Duration, 47 minutes. Asterisk. He dismissed the nurse, waiting until the door closed. "How long have you known this would work?" Juliana gathered blocks. "I didn't know, sir. I just showed up." The estate's silence cracked further that week. Nikolas rearranged schedules. Juliana got mornings with the twins. Afternoon therapies continued, but under her supervision. Progress accelerated. Angelo pushed a toy truck with his foot. Jazmine gripped a rattle. Staff whispered. Nurses documented. Nikolas watched from doorways, Elena's portrait in his study seeming to smile wider each day. One evening, rain pattering against the panes. He found Juliana in the playroom. The twins lay on mats, her voice reciting a gentle rhyme. Asterisk little feet will find their way. Through the dark and into day. Asterisk. Angelo's leg extended. Not a twitch. Deliberate push. He scooted 6 inches toward her. Nikolas's breath caught. That's Elena's rhyme. Juliana paused, hand on Jazmine's back. I found her journal. In the playroom drawer. It was stuck. He crossed the room, kneeling beside them. The journal lay open on the mat, Elena's handwriting flowing across pages. Sketches of nursery layouts. Recipes for purees. And the rhyme, titled In Case I Can't Be There. You sing it, he said, voice thick. And they move. Juliana nodded. They feel her in it, sir. I just give them the words. Angelo reached then, tiny fingers brushing her knee. Mama, he breathed. Nikolas's world tilted. Not jealousy. Recognition. Juliana wasn't replacing Elena. She was the bridge. The estate's transformation began in earnest. Toys emerged from boxes. Music played softly in common rooms. Laughter, small, tentative, filled the halls. Nikolas rearranged the family wing. Juliana's suite adjoined the nursery. No longer staff quarters. Family. The offer came one golden morning. Twins on activity mats, scooting toward blocks. Nikolas knelt beside Juliana. They. Not as maid. As guardian. Ours. She hesitated, glancing at a letter on the side table. From a Dallas therapy center, offering a specialist role. The twins decided. Angelo crawled 3 shaky steps to her. Jazmine followed, collapsing into giggles against her legs. Juliana tore the letter, eyes shining. They chose. The yard came alive weeks later. Adapted swings creaked with first pushes. Bubbles floated in sunlight. Nikolas chased them, twins' laughter bubbling like spring water. He joined the bedtime ritual. Juliana recited the rhyme. He read from Elena's journal. Angelo's hand gripped his finger. Jazmine cooed dada. The estate breathed. Silence yielded to song. Isolation to embrace. Nikolas understood now. Juliana's presence wasn't magic. It was the steady love Elena had embodied. The kind no fortune could manufacture. In the garden one afternoon, twins toddling between them, Nikolas took Juliana's hand. You gave them legs. And me. A family again. She smiled. They gave us all steps. The legacy unfolded. Juliana's rhyme became a therapy tool, shared with centers nationwide. First cohorts walked. Nikolas funded global programs. Twins cut ribbons with tiny scissors. The estate, once a tomb, hummed with life. Angelo chased Jazmine across the lawn. Nikolas watched, Elena's journal in his lap. Love had arrived in a maid's apron. And healed what money never could. The estate hummed with newfound life as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the lawn where Angelo and Jazmine had taken their first wobbly steps only hours before. Their giggles lingered in the air like a melody Nikolas had forgotten existed, and Juliana's torn letter lay in shreds on the playroom floor, a symbol of choices made. He stood at the window of the family wing, watching her push the twins on adapted swings, their legs kicking freely for the first time. The world felt tilted, realigned by small hands and steady love. But questions simmered beneath the joy. How had it started? What invisible threads had Juliana woven in those early weeks before the whispers began? It had all begun with a simple agency call 4 weeks prior, though to Nikolas it now seemed a lifetime ago. He sat in his study that rainy morning, the portrait of Elena watching over him as he scrolled through candidate profiles on his tablet. The estate needed another pair of hands, someone reliable for light cleaning in the children's wing, nothing more. Nurses handled the medical side. Therapists came and went with their charts and devices. Maids were interchangeable, background figures in a house run like a corporation. The agency representative's voice crackled over the speaker. Juliana Clay stands out, Mr. Ferguson. 32, from a small rural town in the Midwest. Spotless record. References from elderly care homes and a few family estates. No formal medical training, but glowing notes on patience and attentiveness. Nikolas glanced at her photo. Pale skin framed by loose auburn waves, steady green eyes, a faint smile that suggested quiet competence. "Send her over," he said, ending the call. Credentials mattered little for dusting and folding. He needed efficiency, not expertise. She arrived the next day in a modest sedan, carrying a single duffel bag. Nikolas met her briefly in the foyer, his mind already on a conference call. "Quarters are in the staff wing. Report to the head housekeeper. Focus on the nursery and playroom. The children require minimal disturbance." Juliana nodded, her voice soft but clear. "Understood, sir. I'll be thorough." He dismissed her with a wave, returning to his emails. She blended into the routine immediately, a white uniform appearing in hallways like a ghost. Silent, effective. Dust vanished from shelves. Laundry emerged crisp and scented with mild soap. No complaints, no questions. But the twins noticed her first. Daily life in the estate followed a rigid script. Mornings began at 6 with vital checks. Nurses in scrubs adjusting monitors, logging oxygen levels, administering nutrient feeds through tubes. Angelo and Jazmine lay in their custom beds, eyes half open, bodies still. Therapists arrived at 8 for passive range of motion exercises, stretching limp legs with clinical precision. Machines beeped steadily, a symphony of data points. Juliana entered around 9, pushing a cart of fresh linens. While nurses hovered over screens, she folded tiny clothes at the side table, onesies in soft pastels, socks no larger than her thumb. Her movements were unhurried, deliberate. As she worked, she spoke in a low murmur, weaving fairy tales from her imagination. Once upon a time, in a kingdom of clouds, there lived a brave little prince and his adventurous sister. She began one morning, smoothing a blanket over Angelo's chest. Her fingers traced gentle circles on his palm, a rhythm like a heartbeat. They dreamed of exploring forests where trees whispered secrets. The nurses paid no mind, focused on calibrating a new stimulation pad. But Angelo's fingers curled slightly under her touch, a response too subtle for charts. Jazmine's turn came next. Juliana lifted her carefully, supporting the head and back, and settled into a rocking chair imported from Sweden. "The princess found a magic flower that glowed in the dark," she continued, rocking slowly. Her free hand drew patterns on Jazmine's arm. Stars, moons, simple shapes. It granted wishes to those who believed. Again the machines registered nothing unusual. But Jazmine's eyes followed Juliana's face, pupils dilating in the dim light. Staff gossip started in the kitchen that evening. The head nurse, a veteran named Lydia with 20 years in pediatric care, sipped coffee during break. Heart rates drop when that new maid enters. From 85 to 72. Consistent. Another aide laughed. Coincidence. Probably the AC kicking in. Lydia shook her head. "I've seen it 3 days running. Kids relax. No agitation during feeds." Nikolas overheard fragments while passing for a late dinner. He paused in the doorway. "Monitor it," he instructed. "Log any anomalies." But he dismissed it inwardly. Biofeedback from environmental changes. Nothing more. The twins were paralyzed, mute. Data didn't lie. Days blurred into a pattern. Juliana's routine expanded quietly. She dusted the playroom shelves, arranging stuffed animals in reachable positions, though reach was theoretical. She polished the window seats where sunlight pooled, narrating stories of sailing ships and hidden treasures. Her voice never rose, never demanded. Simply filled the space like warm air. One afternoon, she discovered a box of textured balls in a cupboard, therapist props long forgotten. She rolled one gently across the mat toward Angelo. "Catch the wave, little sailor." His eyes tracked it, head turning a fraction. Nurses noted increased alertness in reports. Nikolas skimmed them during a board meeting, frowning. Alertness didn't equal progress. Staff whispers grew. "She hums while changing diapers." Old folk tunes. "The boy smiles, actually smiles." Smiles are reflexes. a therapist countered. Gas, maybe. But Nikolas filed it away. Coincidence piled on coincidence. Night fell heavy that week, a storm brewing on the horizon. Nikolas worked late in his study, reviewing acquisition proposals. Restless, he accessed the security feeds on his desktop, a grid of cameras covering every corner of the estate, including the nursery. He clicked to the twins' room. Lights dimmed for sleep. Nurses had completed evening rounds. The children lay side by side in their beds, monitors glowing softly. Then Juliana entered off schedule. She wore a simple robe over her uniform, hair tied back. No cart. No cleaning supplies. She moved to the cribs, checking blankets with maternal care. Nikolas leaned closer to the screen. What was she doing? She knelt between the beds, one hand on each child's chest. Her lips moved. Not words at first. Hum. Low, melodic. Then lyrics emerged, unfamiliar to him. Little feet will find their way. Through the dark and into day. Hearts that beat will learn to play. In the light we'll stay. The twins' eyes opened fully. Angelo's head turned toward her. Jazmine's fingers flexed, seeking. Juliana continued, voice a lullaby thread. She traced their palms again, circles widening to include wrists, elbows. Subtle encouragement. On screen, heart rate monitors dipped further, 68-65. Teddy. Nikolas froze the feed, zooming on their faces. Eyes tracked her every motion. Not vacant. Engaged. He replayed the clip thrice. The rhyme. The response. No machines involved. No therapy protocol. The next morning, he cornered Lydia in the hallway outside the nursery. She carried fresh charts, coffee in hand. What exactly does she do differently? He demanded, voice low. Lydia glanced at the playroom door where Juliana folded laundry inside. She sees them, sir. Not the condition. The children. Nikolas stared. Sees them. She talks to them like they're listening. Touches them like they feel. The rest of us. We treat symptoms. She treats souls. He waved off the poetry. Log everything. I want data. But data only told part. That night he watched the feeds again. Juliana returned, rhyme unchanged. Twins responded identically. Eyes bright, limbs stirring in micromovements. Seeds of mystery took root. Juliana's references mentioned caregiving for the elderly, comforting the dying with stories and song. No children. No paralysis expertise. Yet here, in his sterile fortress, she planted life. Nikolas closed the laptop, Elena's journal now on his desk, though he didn't know its significance yet. The rhyme echoed in his mind, unfamiliar yet tugging at memory. He needed more observation, more proof. The invisible hand was at work, and he intended to uncover its secrets before it reshaped his world entirely. Staff meetings shifted focus. Nurses presented graphs, sustained lower stress indicators during Juliana's shifts. Therapists admitted passive exercises yielded better range when she assisted. Nikolas authorized extended hours. Mornings and evenings with the children. Cleaning secondary. Juliana accepted without fanfare. Whatever they need, sir. Daily life evolved. She introduced soft brushes for sensory play. Stroking soles of feet the therapists declared numb. Angelo kicked, faintly but kicked. Jazmine gurgled during tales of flying carpets. Gossip turned to awe. She has a gift. Nikolas watched from afar, portfolio case now a permanent fixture in the playroom corner. He noted patterns. Twins anticipated her arrival, agitation easing at 9 sharp. One evening, storm clouds gathering. He joined unexpectedly. Juliana sat cross-legged on the mat, twins propped with pillows. She enacted a puppet show with socks, dragons and knights. Angelo laughed, a real bubbling sound. Nikolas's heart stuttered. He slipped out unseen. The nurse's words haunted, she sees them. As thunder rumbled, Nikolas stood in the darkened hallway, security tablet in hand. The feed showed Juliana tucking them in, Rhyme beginning anew. Little feet will find their way. He pocketed the device. Tomorrow he would demand the source of that rhyme. Tomorrow the mystery would deepen. For now the invisible hand guided, and the estate held its breath for what came next. Thunder rumbled low in the distance as Nikolas stood in the shadowed hallway, the security tablet warm in his palm. Juliana's voice drifted faintly from the nursery feed, weaving that mysterious rhyme into the night. Little feet will find their way. The twins' responses played on loop in his mind, eyes bright, tiny movements defying every prognosis. He switched off the screen and slipped the device into his pocket. Sleep evaded him that night, questions churning like the storm outside. If Juliana's presence truly sparked something, he needed proof. Undeniable. Scientific. Tomorrow he would orchestrate the test himself. Dawn broke clear, sunlight spilling across the estate like liquid gold. The gardens bloomed in defiant color, roses Elena had planted years ago, now tended by groundskeepers who followed strict pruning schedules. Nikolas rose early, dressing in casual slacks and a linen shirt, no tie to constrict him. He wheeled the twins' custom chairs himself, bypassing the morning nurse rotation. Angelo and Jazmine blinked up at him from their padded seats, eyes wide but expressionless. No recognition, no spark. He chose the sunlit garden terrace, a paved expanse overlooking the flower beds. Elena had envisioned picnics here, blankets spread under the oak tree. Instead, it served as storage for unused therapy equipment. Foam ramps, balance balls, all gathering faint pollen. Nikolas positioned the chairs side by side on the warm stone, facing a low table he had set with colorful toys. Soft blocks, rattling spheres, textured fabrics. Items recommended by occupational therapists but rarely engaged. "Good morning, children," he said, kneeling to their level. His voice carried the authority he used in boardrooms, softened for this audience. "Look what Daddy brought." He picked up a red block, holding it inches from Angelo's face. "See. Bright. For building." "Nothing." Angelo's gaze drifted past, unfocused. Limbs limp. Nikolas tried Jazmine next, dangling a feathered toy. "Feel the softness. Like clouds." Her fingers remained still, curled loosely on the armrest. He persisted for 20 minutes. Voices raised in enthusiasm. Gentle touches to cheeks, hands. Toys rolled across the table, tapped rhythmically. He even hummed a tune from his own childhood, awkward notes filling the air. Zero response. Heart rates on the portable monitors stayed baseline. Steady, indifferent. No dips, no spikes. Frustration built a familiar ache. 3 years of this. Billions funneled into research grants. Experimental implants rejected by fragile bodies. And nothing. He glanced at his watch. 9:45. Juliana's shift began in 15 minutes, but he couldn't wait. Proof required contrast. Nikolas pressed the intercom on his phone. "Send Juliana to the garden terrace." Immediately. She arrived promptly, apron crisp, hair pulled into a loose ponytail. Surprise flickered in her eyes at the scene. Twins alone with him, toys scattered. "Sir?" she asked, approaching slowly. "Join us," he said, gesturing to the mat he had spread nearby. "Show me what you do." Juliana hesitated only a moment, then knelt on the soft fabric between the chairs. She adjusted blankets with care, her presence shifting the air subtly. "Good morning, my brave explorers," she murmured, voice warm as sunlight. "Ready for adventure." No toys at first. She simply placed a hand on each child's knee, thumbs tracing small circles. "Remember our kingdom of clouds. The prince and princess are waking up." Angelo's head lifted, a clear, deliberate motion. Eyes locked on her face. Nikolas's breath caught. He had tried knee touches. No reaction. Juliana continued, unhurried. "Today we'll sail across the garden sea." She reached for the red block, but instead of presenting it, she rolled it gently along the mat toward Angelo's foot. "The wave comes in, and out. The boy's toes flexed. Not random. Intentional. Jazmine watched, her fingers uncurling from the armrest, reaching toward Juliana's sleeve. Nikolas leaned forward, monitors beeping softly. Heart rates dipped. 78-75. Calm engagement. Again, he commanded quietly. Juliana recited the rhyme then, the one from the feeds. Low and melodic. Little feet will find their way. Through the dark and into day. Hearts that beat will learn to play. In the light we'll stay. As the words flowed, Angelo's head turned fully toward her voice. Jazmine's fingers curled tighter, brushing Juliana's apron. No machines. No protocols. Just words and touch. Nikolas demanded explanation the moment the rhyme ended. How? I've spent fortunes on stimulation programs. Voice therapy. Nothing works. You walk in, recite poetry, and they respond. Explain. Juliana sat back on her heels, hands resting on the twins' knees. I just talk to them like they understand, sir. Like they're whole. I don't wait for proof. I give them reason to try. He stared, processing. Reason to try. That's it. She nodded. Children sense doubt. Fear. I give them certainty. Love without conditions. The simplicity clashed with his world of data and dollars. Yet the evidence sat before him. Twins engaged, alive in ways he had never witnessed. He stood pacing the terrace. Sun warmed the stone, birds chirped in the oak. Elena's roses nodded in the breeze. Full morning access, he said finally, decision firm. From 8 onward. Therapists coordinate with you. Cleaning secondary. Juliana's eyes widened slightly, but she bowed her head. Yes, sir. Whatever helps them. He dismissed her with a nod, wheeling the twins inside himself. The garden trial lingered. His failure, her success. Control cracked, just a hairline fracture, but real. Back in the estate, routine shifted immediately. Nurses handed over morning logs to Juliana without protest. She integrated seamlessly, stories blending with exercises. Angelo pushed against her palm during stretches. Jazmine tracked rolling balls across the floor. Nikolas observed from doorways, notebook in hand. Patterns emerged. Responses strongest post-rhyme. Touch amplified voice. Consistency bred progress. One afternoon, cleaning the playroom between sessions, he opened a side drawer stuck since Elena's time. Inside lay forgotten items. Baby booties, a teething ring, and a small silver keychain, Elena's, engraved with a tiny footprint. For their first steps, the back read. He pocketed it without thinking, the metal cool against his fingers. Unexplained impulse. Talisman, perhaps. Evenings brought more feeds. Juliana's night visits continued. Rhyme a constant. Twins anticipated, agitation nil. Staff adapted. Gossip turned collaborative. Her methods work. Heart rates optimal. Nikolas authorized sensory expansions. Textured mats in the garden. Wind chimes for auditory tracking. Juliana implemented, twins thriving. The fracture in control widened. He joined a session unannounced, sitting cross-legged on the mat. Juliana included him naturally. The king joins the quest. Angelo reached for his hand. First voluntary contact. Nikolas's throat tightened. He traced the boy's palm as Juliana did. No response. But when she layered her hand over his, guiding the motion, Angelo squeezed. Teamwork. Not solo control. The garden became daily ritual. Juliana wheeled them out post-breakfast. Nikolas followed. Keychain now on his own ring, jingling softly. One crisp morning, breeze rustling leaves, she spread a blanket under the oak. Picnic time, royals. She positioned the twins facing each other, toys between. Recited the rhyme. Angelo's leg extended, foot nudging a ball. Jazmine mirrored, fingers grasping. Nikolas filmed discreetly on his phone. Data for specialists. Proof for himself. Explanation still eluded, but results spoke. I just talk to them like they understand. The phrase echoed. He confronted her again that evening, twins napping. Teach me. Juliana smiled faintly. It's not teaching, sir. It's believing. Sessions evolved. Nikolas practiced voice modulation, gentle touches. Progress slow for him, swift with her. The keychain became ritual. He dangled it during stories, the footprint catching light. Twins fixated, reaching. Unexplained but potent. Control yielded further. Juliana scheduled garden trials daily. Nikolas approved outdoor adaptations. Soft paths, shaded benches. Staff meeting. Full integration. Juliana leads child interaction. Nurses nodded. No resistance. The estate breathed easier. Windows opened to fresh air. Rhyme echoed through halls. Nikolas pocketed the keychain each morning. A silent promise. First steps loomed, guided by the invisible hand he now trusted. The garden trial had proven one truth. Love spoke louder than science. And he was learning the language. The garden path stretched soft and inviting under the midday sun, its padded surface a new addition Juliana had suggested only days ago. Nikolas walked beside her as she guided the twins' walkers, lightweight frames with wheels that allowed minimal support. Angelo gripped the handles with determination, his small feet shuffling forward in tiny increments. Jazmine followed, her laughter bubbling each time she advanced an inch. The keychain dangled from Nikolas's pocket, the silver footprint glinting with every step. He had learned the language of belief, as Juliana called it, but the pace still tested his patience. Progress came in whispers, not leaps. Yet the estate flourished in this new rhythm. Windows thrown open, fresh breezes carrying the scent of roses through halls once sealed tight. Control had yielded, and in its place grew something fragile but undeniable. Hope. Juliana paused the walkers near the playroom doors, wiping brows with a soft cloth. Inside for rest and stories, she announced to the twins. Her voice a gentle command they now obeyed with eager eyes. Nikolas lifted Angelo into his arms, the boy's weight lighter than expected, legs dangling but no longer lifeless. Jazmine reached for Juliana, who scooped her up without effort. They entered the playroom together, a family unit in motion. The room had transformed subtly over weeks. Toys no longer boxed but scattered in purposeful chaos. Mats covered the floor in vibrant patterns. A low table held crayons and paper, twin scribbles taped to walls like trophies. Juliana settled the children on a large cushion pile, propping them with pillows. Nap first, then adventure, she said, humming as she adjusted blankets. Nikolas lingered in the doorway, keychain twirling between his fingers. I'll review the therapy logs, he murmured, retreating to his study. But the playroom called him back sooner than planned. Juliana began tidying while the twins dozed. She dusted shelves with efficient swipes, rearranged blocks by color, and straightened the window cushions where sunlight pooled warm and golden. Her routine had become sacred, each task laced with interaction, naming objects, describing textures, inviting response even in sleep. One drawer in the built-in cabinet resisted her pull. Lower right, beneath the puppet theater Elena had installed during pregnancy. It had stuck since her passing, paint swollen from humidity, contents forgotten. Juliana tugged gently at first, then with more insistence. Cleaning required thoroughness. Dust bred neglect. The drawer gave way with a soft groan, spilling faint particles into the air. Inside lay relics of a life interrupted. A half-finished mobile of stars, tiny socks knitted in blue and pink, a pacifier still in plastic. And beneath it all, a leather journal, cover worn soft from handling, spine cracked in places. Juliana lifted it carefully, brushing away dust. The embossed initials EF caught the light. Elena Ferguson. Her heart quickened. She had heard whispers of the late Mrs. Ferguson, seen her portrait's kind eyes, but this felt intimate, personal. She glanced at the twins, breathing steady in sleep. Curiosity won. Juliana opened the journal on the table, pages fluttering like wings. Sketches filled the first sections. Nursery designs in pencil, crib placements, a garden layout with swings and slides. Recipes followed. Purees for teething, herbal teas for colic. Elena's handwriting flowed elegant and sure. Notes in margins about flavors and textures. Juliana turned further. Midway, a page titled in bold script, "In case I can't be there." Below, the rhyme. The same one she had sung from instinct, words that came to her in quiet moments with the twins. Asterisk little feet will find their way. Through the dark and into day. Hearts that beat will learn to play. In the light will stay. Mommy's love will guide the stride. Step by step, side by side. Asterisk. Juliana's breath caught. She had never seen this before. The rhyme had emerged from her own childhood memories, or so she thought. Lullabies her grandmother hummed in a cramped apartment. Coincidence? Or something deeper? The twins stirred. Angelo's eyes opened first, fixing on her. Jazmine followed, a small whimper escaping. Juliana knelt instinctively. Journal open in one hand. "Time to wake, little ones." She recited the rhyme aloud, voice soft as silk. As the words filled the room, magic unfolded. Angelo pushed up on his elbows, legs shifting beneath him. Jazmine mirrored, knees bending. Juliana slid hands under their arms, supporting but not lifting. "That's it. Find your way." Angelo's foot planted. Then Jazmine's. Shaky, uncertain but steps. One. 3 wobbly advances across the cushion, collapsing into Juliana's embrace with giggles. The door burst open. Nikolas stood there, face pale, eyes wide. He had heard the commotion from the hall. Thuds, laughter, Juliana's encouraging murmurs. "What is happening?" he demanded, striding in. The twins beamed up at him, legs still kicking in afterglow. Juliana held the journal toward him, open to the page. "I found this, sir. In the drawer." It's her words. Nikolas took it with trembling hands. The handwriting hit like a wave, Elena's loops and flourishes unmistakable. He had watched her journal during pregnancy, filling pages while he worked late. The rhyme. He remembered now. Nights in the nursery to be. Elena rubbing her belly, chanting it softly. "For when I'm gone on trips," she had teased. Or forever. His knees buckled. He sank to the floor, journal clutched to his chest. Tears came unbidden, hot and relentless, soaking the leather cover. Sobs racked him, 3 years of grief crashing free. The twins crawled to him, small hands patting his arms. Angelo babbled, "Duh." Jazmine echoed. Juliana knelt beside, hand on his shoulder. "She never left them, sir. She just needed a voice." Nikolas looked up through blurred vision. The drawer gaped open behind her, contents spilling like buried treasure. The mobile stars glinted, socks tiny as memories. "How?" he whispered. "You sang it before finding this." Juliana shook her head. "I don't know. Came to me. Like she whispered it." He flipped pages slowly, tears marking spots. Sketches of the twins imagined walking, holding hands in the garden. A note, "If I can't hold them, let love carry." The emotional collapse deepened. Nikolas rocked with the children, journal open on his lap. Juliana joined, forming a circle. The rhyme rose again, 3 voices now, hers steady, his broken but joining, twins cooing along. Minutes passed. Or hours. Sun shifted across the floor. Nikolas wiped his face, resolve hardening amid the storm. "This changes everything," he said. Juliana nodded. "It already has." He closed the journal gently, placing it on the table like a relic. The twins napped again in his arms, exhausted from effort. Juliana covered them with a blanket. Nikolas stood, legs unsteady. "The drawer. Why now?" "Things reveal when ready," she replied. Elena waited for the right moment. He pocketed the keychain again, but now it felt connected. The footprint to the rhyme. Steps promised. Afternoon therapy cancelled. Nikolas carried the journal to his study, reading every page. Recipes tried in his mind. Sketches matched the estate's evolution. Evening brought family dinner in the playroom. Purees Juliana prepared from Elena's notes. Twins fed themselves messy spoonfuls, progress in spills. Nikolas recited the rhyme at bedtime, voice gaining strength. Twins slept clutching journal corners. Juliana lingered. Her love bridged us. He met her eyes. You were the voice. The drawer remained open, contents catalogued. Mobile hung above cribs that night, stars twinkling. Garden trials intensified. Rhyme the catalyst. Steps grew surer, 5 then 10. Nikolas filmed sessions, journal open beside. Specialists reviewed footage, stunned. Elena's voice returned not in ghost but legacy. Through Juliana. Through love. The estate embraced it. Staff read journal passages during breaks. Recipes revived in kitchen. One twilight, twins walked unaided across the playroom, shaky but independent. Nikolas caught them as they tumbled, laughter filling space once silent. Juliana watched from the doorway. She sees them now. Nikolas clutched the journal, tears dry but heart full. We all do. The major twists settled like sunlight. Elena's words, dormant in dust, now propelled life. The drawer had opened a portal, and love poured through. Your wife never left them. She just needed a voice. The promise echoed into night, guiding every future step. The promise of Elena's voice lingered in the playroom like a soft echo as twilight deepened into evening. The journal rested on the low table, its pages now bookmarked with colorful ribbons Juliana had tied to mark favorite sketches and recipes. Outside, the sky darkened unnaturally fast, clouds gathering thick and gray over the estate. The twins, exhausted from their unaided trek across the room, napped fitfully on the oversized cushions, tiny chests rising and falling in uneven rhythm. Nikolas sat nearby, keychain in hand, tracing the engraved footprint with his thumb. Juliana tidied quietly, stacking blocks and folding the blanket that had caught their tumbles. The air hummed with quiet triumph, but the gathering storm outside pressed against the windows, a reminder that progress was fragile, weather-dependent. Thunder cracked suddenly, sharp and close, rattling the glass panes. Angelo jolted awake with a sharp cry, his small body tensing. Jazmine followed seconds later, whimpering as another boom rolled through the estate. The lights flickered, casting brief shadows that danced like intruders across the walls. The twins' faces crumpled in terror, hands reaching blindly for comfort that machines and monitors had never provided. Juliana dropped the blocks instantly, crossing the room in 3 strides. It's all right, my brave ones, she soothed, scooping Angelo into her arms first, then settling Jazmine against her other side. She rocked them on the floor, a human cradle against the chaos. Thunder is just the sky telling stories. Loud ones, but stories still. The twins clung to her, faces buried in her apron, but the fear lingered. Another flash of lightning illuminated the room, followed by a crash that shook the foundations. Angelo's cry escalated into sobs. Jazmine trembled, her legs kicking in remembered paralysis now defied but still vulnerable. Nikolas rose, instinct overriding hesitation. He knelt beside them, but the twins shrank closer to Juliana. He understood. This was her domain now. She began the rhyme without pause, voice steady over the storm's roar. Little feet will find their way, through the dark and into day. The words wrapped around the room like a shield. Angelo's sobs quieted to hiccups. Jazmine's trembling eased. Juliana's hands moved in familiar patterns, circles on backs, gentle pats on knees. The thunder receded slightly, as if listening. As the verse ended, Angelo lifted his head, eyes locked on Juliana's face. His lips moved, shaping a sound barely audible over the rain now lashing the windows. Julie! It was a whisper, breathy and imperfect, but unmistakable. The first intentional word from a child deemed forever mute. Jazmine stirred, hearing her brother. She turned her face up, tears still glistening on cheeks. Julie, she echoed, softer but clear, the syllable rounded with effort. Juliana's eyes filled, but her voice remained calm. Yes, my loves. I'm here. Always. Nikolas's heart seized. He had waited 3 years for any vocalization, funding voice coaches and neural implants that promised miracles and delivered silence. Now, in a storm's fury, his children spoke for her. The nursery door creaked open wider. He had entered without realizing. Rain scented the air, carried on drafts from open halls. He placed a tentative hand on Jazmine's back, feeling the warmth through her cotton shirt. She sensed him, turning slightly. Her small hand reached back, patting his fingers. "Day," she uttered, soft as falling rain. The sound pierced him deeper than thunder. Angelo looked over, recognizing. "Duh," he repeated, reaching with his free hand. Nikolas gathered them closer. Juliana shifting to make room. The four formed a knot on the floor, storm raging outside but peace settling within. Tears tracked his cheeks again, but these were different. Release, not collapse. The thunder faded to distant grumbles. Light steadied. Juliana rocked gently, the twins now drowsy against her. Nikolas found his voice. "How do you do this?" "Every time." She met his gaze over the children's heads. "I learned young, sir. In places where no one looked." He waited. The storm provided backdrop, rain a steady curtain. Juliana spoke quietly, words measured. "Foster homes. 6 before 18. Some kind most indifferent. I was the quiet one. Small, pale, easy to overlook. Meals skipped if I didn't speak up. Affection rationed to the loudest or cutest. I learned to show up for the invisible. The kids left in corners. The ones adults walked past." She stroked Angelo's hair. "I'd sit with them. Tell stories. Hold hands. Not for reward. 'Cause someone had to see them. When I aged out I carried it. Elderly care. Hospices. Now here." Nikolas absorbed it. Her calm wasn't trained. It was forged. "You see them," he said, echoing the nurse's words from weeks ago. "I see what others miss," she corrected gently. The spark beneath the still. Jazmine nestled deeper into his chest, thumb in mouth. Angelo's grip loosened on Juliana's apron, but he clutched a string, twisting it around his finger. The storm passed fully, leaving dripping eaves and fresh-washed air. Nikolas lifted Jazmine carefully, Juliana taking Angelo. They moved to the nursery adjoining the playroom, cribs side by side, mobile stars now spinning lazily from a new battery. He laid Jazmine down, tucking blankets. She resisted sleep, eyes fighting to stay on Juliana. "Stay," Angelo murmured, the word clearer now. "Julie, stay." Juliana smiled, settling into the rocking chair between cribs. "I'm here, little prince." Nikolas hesitated at the door. Protocol said staff didn't linger overnight. But protocol had crumbled. "Stay with them," he said. "I'll take the chair." He dragged the antique rocker from the corner, Elena's favorite, unused since her passing. Positioned it beside Juliana's. The twins watched content. Lights dimmed to night mode. Rain became a lullaby on the roof. Juliana hummed the rhyme again, softer. Angelo's eyes closed first, hand still clutching her apron string through the crib bars. Jazmine followed, fingers intertwined with Nikolas's. He leaned back, the chair creaking under his weight. Exhaustion claimed him, but sleep came light, alert to every breath. Midnight brought a small sound, Jazmine stirring. Nikolas rose instantly, lifting her to his chest. She settled against him, warm and trusting. Juliana watched, eyes soft in the glow of a nightlight. "Duh," Jazmine sighed in sleep. Angelo echoed from his crib. "Julie." "Duh." The words wove together a new family tapestry. Juliana shared more in whispers as the night deepened. "First foster home I was 5. Boy there wheelchair-bound. No one pushed him outside. I did. told him about clouds shaped like dragons. He smiled for the first time in months. Nikolas listened, rocking Jazmine. "You saved him." "I showed up," she corrected. "That's all." Hours passed. Thunder long gone, stars peeking through clearing skies. The twins slept deeply, apron strings and father's shirt their anchors. Nikolas dozed fitfully, dreams blending Elena's laughter with Juliana's rhyme. He woke once to find Juliana adjusting blankets, her face serene in moonlight. "Thank you," he murmured. "For seeing them," she replied. Dawn crept in pale and pink. Birds began their chorus. The twins stirred, smiles first. Nikolas remained in the chair, stiff but unwilling to move. Juliana rose to prepare bottles. Elena's recipe, banana and oat. Angelo reached through bars. "Julie!" She returned, lifting him. Jazmine went to Nikolas, nestling into the crook of his arm. Breakfast in the nursery became ritual. Purees fed with airplane spoons, giggles at messes. The journal lay open nearby, Elena's sketch of this exact scene. Family at dawn. Staff entered later, finding the scene. No questions, just knowing smiles. Nikolas stayed through morning therapy, participating now. Juliana guided his hands during stretches. Twins responded to both. The choice crystallized in quiet moments. They chose Juliana with every Julie. Chose him with every de. Chose family. He authorized permanent changes. Juliana's quarters moved to the family wing. Nursery expanded with connecting doors. Evening storms became anticipated. Rhyme the thunder chaser. Words the bridge. 1 week later, twins walked the hallway unaided. 10 steps to Juliana's waiting arms. Nikolas caught the video, tears blurring the screen. They chose her. Every day. In sounds and steps. The rocking chair remained Nikolas's post. Overnight vigil, a new tradition. Twins asleep clutching apron strings, his shirt, Elena's keychain now on the mobile, spinning above. Love had voices now. Hers. Elena's through rhyme. The estate slept secure, invisible no more. The estate woke to a gentle morning light filtering through the nursery curtains, painting soft patterns on the cribs where Angelo and Jazmine slumbered peacefully. Nikolas shifted in the rocking chair, his neck stiff from another overnight vigil, but the discomfort felt like a badge now. The twins' small hands still gripped the edges of Juliana's apron strings, even in sleep, while Elena's keychain dangled from the mobile above, catching the dawn glow. Juliana had slipped out at first light to prepare breakfast, her footsteps light in the connecting hallway. The air carried the faint scent of banana oat puree warming on the stove, a recipe straight from the journal that had become their daily ritual. Nikolas watched the rise and fall of his children's chests, marveling at the sounds they made in dreams. Soft coos of Julie and D, words that anchored the family in this new reality. The storms of the previous nights had passed, leaving clarity, but tensions simmered beneath the calm, an undercurrent waiting to surface. The mail arrived with the usual efficiency, a leather portfolio delivered to the breakfast nook by the butler. Nikolas joined Juliana there, the twins propped in high chairs adapted for their growing mobility. Angelo smeared puree on his tray with deliberate swipes, Jazmine banging a spoon in rhythm. Laughter filled the space, a sound that once would have shattered the estate's silence but now felt like its heartbeat. Juliana wiped chins with a damp cloth, her movements practiced and tender. Eat up, explorers. Garden time after. Nikolas opened the portfolio casually, sorting through invoices and invitations. One envelope stood out, thick cream stock, embossed with a seal of the Harrington Pediatric Therapy Institute, a world-renowned facility in the city known for groundbreaking work with neurologically impaired children. He slit it open, unfolding the letter with a frown. Juliana noticed his expression. "Bad news, sir." He scanned the contents, then read aloud. "Dear Ms. Juliana Clay, we have reviewed the detailed progress reports submitted by your current employer's medical staff. Your innovative approaches with severe paralysis cases demonstrate exceptional outcomes. We offer you the position of lead therapeutic specialist, with full resources, research funding, and a team at your disposal. Start date flexible. Salary commensurate with impact. The words hung in the air. Juliana paused mid-wipe, cloth dripping onto the tray. Angelo reached for her hand, sensing the shift. Nikolas folded the letter precisely. They want you. Full authority. Grants. She resumed cleaning, voice steady but quieter. It's an honor, sir. But unexpected. He set the letter aside, watching Jazmine offer him a spoonful of puree. The institute promised scale. Her methods applied to hundreds, maybe thousands. Resources the estate couldn't match. Advanced imaging, experimental protocols, global collaboration. Yet the twins needed her here. Nikolas excused himself to his study, the journal accompanying him like a companion. He spent the morning drafting. Not a resignation counteroffer, but permanence. A contract. Juliana as official guardian, suite in the family wing with private entrance, full authority over the twins' daily care and therapy integration. Salary tripled. Benefits unlimited. Veto power on all medical decisions. He printed it on estate letterhead, signing with a flourish. This wasn't charity. It was recognition. Investment in the miracle unfolding. Juliana found him there at noon, twins napping in the playroom under a nanny's watch. She carried fresh linens, but her eyes held questions. The letter, she began. Nikolas slid the contract across the desk. Read this first. She did, lips moving silently over clauses. Suite described in detail. Adjoining nursery, private garden access. Authority explicit. Guardian shall direct all interactions with employer consultation. No end date. Her fingers traced the signature line. This is generous. More than. It's necessary, he said. They regress without you. We've seen it in small ways. Agitation when you're delayed. Juliana nodded slowly. The institute promised impact on a grand scale. Resources to refine the rhyme into structured programs, publish findings, train others. Here it was intimate, one family profound but limited. I'm torn, sir. The twins need presence. Consistency. But those children out there. They wait too. He understood the pull. External validation versus daily magic. Afternoon brought the staff meeting in the conservatory. Sunlight streaming through glass onto the long table. Nurses, therapists, the head pediatrician via video link. Nikolas laid out the institute's offer. Then his contract. Discussion erupted. The lead nurse spoke first. We've tracked metrics. Without Ms. Clay's sessions, vocalizations drop 30%. Mobility attempts have. Heart rates elevate during transitions. A therapist added charts. Regression evident in trial absences. Last week, when she attended a supply run, 15 minutes, Angelo refused weight-bearing. Jazmine vocalized 0 times. The pediatrician nodded on screen. Her presence is the variable. Remove it, outcomes plummet. Nikolas absorbed the data. Warnings clear. The twins' progress hinged on Juliana. Not replicable yet. Not without her. Juliana sat quietly at the table's end, hands folded. I see the numbers. But the institute could amplify this. Train hundreds. The nurse countered gently. Start here. Document fully. Then scale. Meeting adjourned with consensus. Urged Juliana to stay, at least until protocols formalized. She left for the nursery, mind swirling. The twins awoke cranky from naps, sensing her distraction. Angelo fussed during diaper change. Jazmine refused puree. Nikolas observed from the doorway. They feel it. Juliana rocked them in turns. Rhyme soothing but slower today. I know. Evening settled humid and still. No storm but heaviness in the air. Dinner in the family nook. Twins in boosters. Nikolas feeding Jazmine while Juliana managed Angelo. The letter lay on the sideboard. Envelope resealed but prominent. Conversation circled carefully. Institute Labs versus Estate Gardens. Global Reach versus Daily Steps. Juliana tucked them in early, mobile stars spinning. She lingered, watching breaths even out. Nikolas joined, contract in pocket. No pressure tonight. Sleep on it. She nodded, but eyes drifted to the letter now moved to the nursery table. Unopened again, though read twice. He retreated to his suite, leaving her space. Midnight found Juliana in the rocking chair, twins asleep. Moonlight striped the floor. The letter sat accusingly nearby, wax seal intact once more. She picked it up, thumb tracing the embossing. Resources flashed. Imaging suites, research teams, children in rows waiting for voices. Then Angelo stirred, murmuring Julie in sleep. Jazmine echoed, hand seeking the apron string draped over the crib. Juliana set the letter down, unopened for the third time. She watched them nap, faces peaceful in moonlight. The pull intensified, world versus these two hearts. Dawn would bring decision, but for now, tension coiled. The institute waited. The estate needed. She remained in the chair, letter untouched on the table, twins' dreams filled with her name. The nursery glowed with the soft haze of early morning as Juliana sat in the rocking chair, the unopened letter from the Harrington Institute resting on the small table beside her like a silent sentinel. Moonlight had given way to the first hints of dawn, painting the walls in pale gold. Angelo and Jazmine slept soundly in their cribs, apron strings twisted gently around their fingers, breaths sinking in quiet harmony. The estate outside stirred with the distant hum of groundskeepers starting their day. But inside, time felt suspended. Juliana's eyes traced the envelope's elegant seal, the weight of two futures pressing against her heart. The institute offered a platform to heal countless children, armed with labs and legacies. Here, two small souls had already chosen her with every Julie, every wobbly reach. She left the letter untouched, rising to prepare their bottles, the decision crystallizing in the quiet hours. Presence over promise, at least for now. Sun climbed higher, bathing the estate in brilliant light by midday. The gardens burst with color, roses in full bloom, paths lined with fresh gravel that crunched softly underfoot. Juliana wheeled the twins to the playroom after breakfast, their high chairs still sticky with puree fingerprints. Nikolas had retreated to his study with a contract, giving her space, but his footsteps echoed in the hall now and then, a reminder of the choice looming. She spread a thick, soft mat across the playroom floor, the kind with embedded textures for sensory play. Raised dots, wavy lines, smooth patches. Toys ringed the edge. Blocks, balls, the silver keychain now on a ribbon for grasping. The twins sat propped at one end, legs stretched before them, eyes bright with anticipation. Angelo banged a rattle. Jazmine clutched a fabric book, turning pages with increasing dexterity. Juliana knelt before them, smoothing the mat. Today, my adventurers, we cross the great plain. Her voice carried the familiar warmth, the rhyme ready on her tongue but held back for this moment. She wanted them to initiate, to choose the path. She scooted backward slowly, arms open. Come to Julie. Find your way. Angelo watched, head tilting. He had walked hallways with support, but unaided distance remained a frontier. Jazmine leaned forward, palms pressing the mat. Nikolas appeared in the doorway then, silent as a shadow. He held Elena's journal against his chest, pages marked with a contract folded inside. He said nothing, breath held, witnessing. Juliana inched further, creating space. 5 feet, then 6. You can do it. Step by step. Angelo pushed up first, hands flattening for balance. His knees bent, then straightened. He stood, wobbly, swaying like a sapling in wind. One foot lifted, planted. Another. 3 steps, arms windmilling, before tumbling forward into Juliana's waiting embrace. She caught him with a gasp, tears springing instant. My brave prince. Jazmine watched, inspired. She mimicked, rising with less grace but equal determination. Legs trembled, but forward she went. 1 step, pause, 2, 3. collapsing against Juliana's other side with a triumphant squeal. Nikolas's knees weakened. He gripped the doorframe, journal slipping slightly. The twins had walked to her, chosen her without prompt or support. 10 feet of mat, crossed by will alone. Juliana hugged them close, laughter mixing with sobs. You did it. You chose. A letter. She reached for it on the side table where it had migrated during breakfast, envelope crisp in her fingers. The Institute's seal stared up, full of sterile promise. She tore it slowly, deliberately. Paper ripped clean, pieces fluttering to the mat like confetti. They chose, she said, voice thick. I stay. Nikolas crossed the room in strides, kneeling beside them. The torn fragments scattered around the twins, who grabbed at them with glee, crumpling offers into balls. He pulled the contract from the journal, unfolding it on the mat. Then this is yours. Pen from his pocket. He signed with a flourish beside the line marked Guardian. Juliana took the pen, hand steady despite tears. Her signature flowed beneath, elegant, committed. The twins watched, Angelo smacking the paper with a puree-stained hand, leaving a print. Jazmine added a crayon scribble from the floor, blue loops across the margin. Nikolas laughed, the sound rich and free. Official witnesses. He gathered the document carefully, folding it with the scribbles intact. Family portrait tomorrow. Professional. In the garden. Juliana nodded, wiping eyes. They'll walk to the camera. The afternoon unfolded in celebration. Staff alerted subtly, nurses peeking in, therapists clapping from halls. The mat became a victory stage, twins repeating walks with growing confidence. 4 steps. 5. Collapses into arms, giggles rising. Nikolas called the photographer, scheduling for sunset, golden hour light on the rose path. Attire discussed, twins in soft linens, Juliana in a dress from Elena's wardrobe resized. Himself in casual shirt, sleeves rolled. Evening meal in the playroom, picnic style on the mat. Purees, finger foods, the torn letter pieces now confetti in a bowl. Twins fed themselves mostly, messes wiped with joy. Bedtime brought the rhyme, voices layered. Juliana leading, Nikolas joining, twins cooing along. Journal opened to a new page. Asterisk they walk today. To her. Thus. Asterisk. Nikolas tucked them in, keychain on the mobile spinning. Juliana lingered. Contract now framed on the nursery wall beside crayon art. Tomorrow the world sees, he said. She smiled. Our world already does. The estate settled into night, choice sealed. The Institute's pull severed, future rooted here. Sunset the next day painted the garden in amber and rose. The photographer arrived, setting up near the oak. Blankets spread, toys arranged. Twins walked the path. 8 steps unaided to the setup. Juliana waited on the blanket, arms open. Nikolas beside her. Clicks captured it. Angelo tumbling into her lap, Jazmine following. Laughter frozen in frames. Family complete. Portraits developed overnight. Largest hung in the foyer. Twins mid-stride. Juliana catching, Nikolas beaming. The contract lived in a drawer. Scribbles preserved under glass domain the playroom desk. They chose. They stayed. Love walked forward. The nursery glowed with the soft haze of early morning as Juliana sat in the rocking chair. The unopened letter from the Harrington Institute resting on the small table beside her like a silent sentinel. Moonlight had given way to the first hints of dawn, painting the walls in pale gold. Angelo and Jazmine slept soundly in their cribs, apron strings twisted gently around their fingers, breaths sinking in quiet harmony. The estate outside stirred with a distant hum of groundskeepers starting their day. But inside, time felt suspended. Juliana's eyes traced the envelope's elegant seal, the weight of 2 futures pressing against her heart. The Institute offered a platform to heal countless children, armed with labs and legacies. Here, 2 small souls had already chosen her with every Julie, every wobbly reach. She left the letter untouched, rising to prepare their bottles, the decision crystallizing in the quiet hours. Presence over promise, at least for now. Sun climbed higher, bathing the estate in brilliant light by midday. The gardens burst with color, roses in full bloom, paths lined with fresh gravel that crunched softly underfoot. Juliana wheeled the twins to the playroom after breakfast, their high chairs still sticky with puree fingerprints. Nikolas had retreated to his study with the contract, giving her space, but his footsteps echoed in the hall now and then, a reminder of the choice looming. She spread a thick, soft mat across the playroom floor, the kind with embedded textures for sensory play. Raised dots, wavy lines, smooth patches. Toys ringed the edge. Blocks, balls, the silver keychain now on a ribbon for grasping. The twins sat propped at one end, legs stretched before them, eyes bright with anticipation. Angelo banged a rattle. Jazmine clutched a fabric book, turning pages with increasing dexterity. Juliana knelt before them, smoothing the mat. "Today, my adventurers, we cross the great plain." Her voice carried the familiar warmth, the rhyme ready on her tongue but held back for this moment. She wanted them to initiate, to choose the path. She scooted backward slowly, arms open. "Come to Julie. Find your way." Angelo watched, head tilting. He had walked hallways with support, but unaided distance remained a frontier. Jazmine leaned forward, palms pressing the mat. Nikolas appeared in the doorway then, silent as a shadow. He held Elena's journal against his chest, pages marked with a contract folded inside. He said nothing, breath held, witnessing. Juliana inched further, creating space. 5 feet, then 6. "You can do it." Step by step. Angelo pushed up first, hands flattening for balance. His knees bent, then straightened. He stood, wobbly, swaying like a sapling in wind. One foot lifted, planted. Another. 3 steps, arms windmilling, before tumbling forward into Juliana's waiting embrace. She caught him with a gasp, tears springing instant. "My brave prince." Jazmine watched, inspired. She mimicked, rising with less grace but equal determination. Legs trembled, but forward she went. 1 step, pause, 2, 3, collapsing against Juliana's other side with a triumphant squeal. Nikolas's knees weakened. He gripped the doorframe, journal slipping slightly. The twins had walked to her, chosen her without prompt or support. 10 feet of mat, crossed by will alone. Juliana hugged them close, laughter mixing with sobs. "You did it. You chose." A letter. She reached for it on the side table where it had migrated during breakfast, envelope crisp in her fingers. The institute's seal stared up, full of sterile promise. She tore it slowly, deliberately. Paper ripped clean, pieces fluttering to the mat like confetti. "They chose," she said, voice thick. "I stay." Nikolas crossed the room in strides, kneeling beside them. The torn fragments scattered around the twins, who grabbed at them with glee, crumpling offers into balls. He pulled the contract from the journal, unfolding it on the mat. "Then this is yours." Pen from his pocket. He signed with a flourish beside the line marked Guardian. Juliana took the pen, hand steady despite tears. Her signature flowed beneath, elegant, committed. The twins watched, Angelo smacking the paper with a puree-stained hand, leaving a print. Jazmine added a crayon scribble from the floor, blue loops across the margin. Nikolas laughed, the sound rich and free. "Official witnesses." He gathered the document carefully, folding it with the scribbles intact. "Family portrait tomorrow. Professional. In the garden." Juliana nodded, wiping eyes. "They'll walk to the camera." The afternoon unfolded in celebration. Staff alerted subtly, nurses peeking in, therapists clapping from halls. The mat became a victory stage, twins repeating walks with growing confidence. 4 steps, 5. Collapses into arms, giggles rising. Nikolas called the photographer, scheduling for sunset, golden hour light on the rose path. Attire discussed, twins in soft linens, Juliana in a dress from Elena's wardrobe resized. Himself in casual shirt, sleeves rolled. Evening meal in the playroom, picnic style on the mat. Purees, finger foods, the torn letter pieces now confetti in a bowl. Twins fed themselves mostly, messes wiped with joy. Bedtime brought the rhyme, voices layered. Juliana leading, Nikolas joining, twins cooing along. Journal opened to a new page. Asterisk they walk today. For her. Thus. Asterisk. Nikolas tucked them in, keychain on the mobile spinning. Juliana lingered. Contract now framed on the nursery wall beside crayon art. Tomorrow the world sees, he said. She smiled. Our world already does. The estate settled into night, choice sealed. The institute's pull severed, future rooted here. Sunset the next day painted the garden in amber and rose. The photographer arrived, setting up near the oak. Blankets spread, toys arranged. Twins walked the path. 8 steps unaided to the setup. Juliana waited on the blanket, arms open. Nikolas beside her. Clicks captured it. Angelo tumbling into her lap, Jazmine following. Laughter frozen in frames. Family complete. Portraits developed overnight. Largest hung in the foyer. Twins mid-stride. Juliana catching, Nikolas beaming. The contract lived in a drawer. Scribbles preserved under glass domain the playroom desk. They chose. They stayed. Love walked forward. The garden path gleamed with the fresh polish of a new day as the photographer packed away his equipment, the final clicks of the camera echoing the twins' delighted squeals from the portrait session. Angelo and Jazmine toddled back toward the estate hand in hand with Juliana, their steps surer on the gravel, Nikolas trailing with the framed proof of their family now complete. The largest print would grace the foyer by morning, a testament to choices made and futures embraced. Inside, the playroom awaited with the contract under glass on the desk, crayon scribbles immortalized beside signatures. Laughter from the session lingered in the halls, a prelude to the weeks ahead where joy would no longer visit but reside. The estate, once a fortress of measured silence, began to awaken fully, walls echoing with life that had been waiting in the wings. Weeks slipped by in a blur of vibrant chaos. Laughter became the estate's new soundtrack, bubbling from the playroom at dawn and spilling into corridors until dusk. Toys no longer confined to shelves but scattered in purposeful disarray. Blocks forming wobbly towers in the sunroom, dolls picnicking on the nursery rug, rattles hidden under cushions for delighted discovery. Music played softly from hidden speakers Nikolas had installed, gentle melodies of children's songs blending with the rhyme that started every adventure. The air carried scents of fresh-baked cookies from Juliana's experiments with Elena's recipes, vanilla and cinnamon wafting through vents once sterile. Juliana's move into the family wing happened seamlessly one crisp morning. Staff carried her few belongings, a duffel of clothes, a box of books, a framed photo of her grandmother, into the suite adjoining the nursery. The space had been Elena's sitting room, repurposed with a cozy bed, reading nook, and door straight to the children's beds. No more staff quarters down the hall, she was home. The twins celebrated by walking the connecting threshold repeatedly, Angelo declaring, "Julie Mama home," in his budding sentences. Jazmine echoed, "Mama," with possessive glee, tugging Juliana's hand toward the new rocking chair painted soft blue. They called her Julie Mama now, the title evolving naturally during play. "Julie Mama build," Angelo demanded, handing her blocks. Julie Mama read. Jazmine insisted, climbing into her lap with a book. Nikolas became Dada in full, Dada push, on swings, Dada catch, during chases. The names wove them tighter, a family lexicon born of steps and sounds. The yard transformed into their kingdom. Mornings after breakfast, Juliana led processions outside, twins in sun hats and sturdy shoes. Grass tickled bare feet during crawls that quickly turned to runs. One golden afternoon she introduced Bubbles, a simple wand from the toy chest, solution mixed with Elena's noted glycerin for longevity. She blew gentle streams, iridescent orbs floating on breeze. Angelo chased first, arms outstretched, wobbly but determined. "Bub!" he shouted, popping one with a finger. Jazmine followed, squealing as bubbles burst on her nose. They ran in circles, legs pumping stronger each day, collapsing in giggles on the lawn. Nikolas joined from his study window, then fully. He lifted them onto adapted swings, seats with harnesses but freedom to kick. "Higher, Dada!" Angelo yelled. Nikolas pushed, gentle arcs building to swoops. Jazmine leaned back, hair flying, trust absolute. Staff watched from terraces, smiles breaking protocol. The groundskeepers paused mowing, enchanted. Evenings brought structured play, therapy woven into fun. Juliana set obstacle courses with cushions and tunnels. Twins navigated, vocalizing instructions. Over. Under. Nikolas timed them, cheering milestones. The staff celebration dinner marked a month of this new era. The grand dining hall, unused since Elena's time, opened fully. Tables dressed in linens, candles flickering. Nurses, therapists, cooks, all gathered. 50 souls who had witnessed the miracle. Nikolas stood at the head, twins in high chairs beside him and Juliana. "To transformation," he toasted, glass raised. "And the guardian who led it." Applause thundered. The head chef presented courses from the journal. Mini purees for twins, adult versions with herbs. Laughter flowed with wine. The honor came dessert. A custom apron, white with embroidered script across the chest. Guardian of first steps. Juliana unfolded it, eyes misting. The twins clapped sticky hands. She donned it immediately, twirling for cheers. Beaches followed. Nurses shared graphs of progress. Therapists recounted first words. Nikolas spoke last. Juliana didn't heal with tools. She healed with heart. Elena's legacy lives in her. Tears all around. The apron became symbol, worn daily. Nights deepened the bond. Bedtime in the nursery, lights low. Juliana in her rocker. Nikolas in his. Twins in cribs transitioning to toddler beds. He read Elena's journal aloud now, selecting pages. Sketches described. Recipes promised for tomorrow. The rhyme closed every session, voices harmonizing. One such night, weeks into awakening, twins fought sleep with energy. "More bub," Angelo pleaded. Jazmine nodded vigorously. Nikolas lifted them to his lap in the big bed, temporarily set up for stories. Juliana joined, apron still on from dinner prep. He opened to a new entry, Elena's dreams of yard play. "Swings and bubbles," he read, voice warm. Twins nestled against his chest, heads on either side. Juliana's hand covered his family pile. As pages turned, eyes drooped. Angelo's grip loosened on the keychain. Jazmine's thumb slipped from mouth. They slept on his chest, breaths syncing with his heartbeat. Juliana dimmed the lamp, kissing foreheads. The estate awakened fully in these moments. Toy chaos by day, tender quiet by night. Laughter echoed eternal. Joy returned, permanent resident. Nikolas closed the journal gently. Twins asleep secure. Elena's words lingered, promise kept. The nursery lamp cast a warm glow over the toddler beds as Nikolas eased the journal shut. Elena's words still resonating in the quiet. Angelo and Jazmine lay asleep on his chest, their weight a comforting anchor, breaths deep and even. Juliana adjusted the blanket over them, her apron with its embroidered title catching the light. Asterisk guardian of first step star. The estate outside hummed with nighttime serenity, crickets chirping beyond the windows, the awakened joy of weeks past settling into a steady rhythm. Toys lay scattered in the playroom beyond, evidence of a day filled with laughter and music. Nikolas carried the twins to their beds one by one, tucking them in with gentle kisses. Juliana lingered at the door, watching the family she had helped rebuild. Time marched forward, and the legacy sparked in that drawer began to extend far beyond these walls, a cycle of love ready to spin outward. 1 year later, the garden had become a living canvas of motion and mirth. Spring blooms exploded in riotous color. Paths widened for little feet that now ran without hesitation. Angelo and Jazmine, nearing 4, dashed across the lawn in a game of tag, their laughter pealing like bells. Angelo's legs pumped strong, outpacing his sister in bursts, while Jazmine strategized with clever dodges around the oak tree. No walkers, no supports, just pure, unbridled freedom. Nikolas filmed from the terrace, phone steady on a tripod. The footage was for the Harrington Institute, the very one that had once courted Juliana with promises of grandeur. They had shifted from recruitment to collaboration after seeing the estate's documented progress. "Share the method," their director had pleaded in emails. "Let us learn." He captured every sprint, every tumble into grass followed by immediate rise. "For the record," he narrated softly. "Subject Angelo, sustained run 20 yards. Subject Jazmine, evasion tactics advanced." Juliana watched from the swings, pushing gently when they paused for breath. Her non-profit, launched quietly 6 months prior, bore Elena's name in subtle honor, the Footprint Foundation. It started small, a pilot program in the estate's converted guest house, using the rhyme as core therapy. Paralyzed children from nearby hospitals bussed in weekly. The first cohort arrived wide-eyed, wheelchairs lining the mat where the twins once took shaky steps. Juliana knelt as always, reciting, "Little feet will find their way through the dark and into day." Parents wept as limbs stirred. A boy named Leo stood first, 3 wobbles into his mother's arms. A girl, Sarah, vocalized "Ma" after weeks of silence. Steps followed, halting then sure. The rhyme, paired with consistent presence, unlocked what medicine alone couldn't. Nikolas funded it all. Initial seed from his pocket, then endowments. Global centers planned, one in Europe, another in Asia. Architects drew blueprints incorporating gardens, mats, rhyme rooms. The twins worked too. Angelo demonstrated block rolling. Jazmine sang the rhyme in her clear voice. Children mimicked, progress accelerating. Ribbon cutting for the first expansion came on a crisp autumn day. The guest house renamed the Elena wing, plaque reading "In case I can't be there." Dignitaries gathered, cameras flashing. Oversized scissors waited on a velvet stand, comically large for tiny hands. Angelo and Jazmine, dressed in matching outfits, gripped the handles together. 1, 2, 3. Juliana counted. Snip. Ribbon fluttered to the ground. Applause erupted. The cohort children clapped from mats, some standing unaided. Nikolas filmed again, pride swelling. Official opening. Legacy in motion. Evenings returned to intimacy. Family dinners in the nook, twins feeding themselves fully now. Spoons steady, requests polite. More peas, Julie mama. Milk, dada. Bedtime evolved. Journal readings included cohort updates. Leo's first run, Sarah's full sentence. Twins listened rapt, understanding their role. The rooftop became sanctuary. Accessed via a new spiral stair from the family wing, it overlooked the estate. Gardens sprawling, the Elena wing glowing below. One sunset, golden and serene, they climbed together. Nikolas carried a blanket, Juliana snacks. Twins raced the stairs, winning with cheers. They spread on the deck, sky ablaze in orange and pink. Angelo pointed at clouds. "Dragon." Jazmine agreed. "Castle." Nikolas pulled Juliana close, arm around her shoulders. The twins nestled between, heads on laps. Below, lights twinkled in the wing. Another session ending, parents hugging staff. "Look what we built," Nikolas murmured. Juliana smiled. "What love built." The cycle continued. Centers opened worldwide. Rhyme translated into dozens of languages. Children walked. Voices emerged. Love arrives in overalls and soft voices. The billionaire learned the maid held the real fortune. Who in your life waits to be seen? Reflect on those overlooked around you. Share this story of hope. Subscribe for more tales of unexpected miracles.